Emisión.net.
Hello again and welcome to Letter from England, broadcasting for AC Press and the Spanish Evangelical Alliance. Over the last couple of weeks in our news bulletins we've been suggesting that it's not a gay time to be an Anglican. The Anglican Communion is dealing with two conflictive issues currently. Perhaps when it was feeling it was just getting to the end of dealing with the question of the appointment or non-appointment of openly homosexual clergy, with all the controversy over the appointment of Gene Robinson in the United States, and the segregation, really the split between more traditional Bible-based groupings within national member churches within the Anglican Communion, particularly in Africa and Asia, and those, or some at least in the Anglo-Saxon world, though not the Church of England, interestingly, who have moved in a more liberal direction. Well, just when it felt that was being dealt with, the pending appointment of women bishops raises its, ugly for some, head. The Synod of the Church of England recently voted to allow women to become bishops, and 14 out of 38 national member churches have now done so. However, the fact that the mother church, as it were, in England has so voted will have great resonance around the world. In fact, the Church of England is fast being taken over by women. Despite the fact that women priests were only allowed for the first time 12 years ago, they already make up 20% of the total clergy and occupy 50% of the non-stipendiary posts held by priests. These rather alarming statistics have not gone unnoticed in Catholic circles, and one of their cardinals, Walter Casper, who chairs the euphemistically named Pontifical Council for Christian Unity, says the appointment of women bishops in the Anglican Church would be, and I quote, a serious and lasting bucket of cold water. Well, whatever you think of that, tensions are running high, and the Archbishop of Canterbury has said that all member churches should sign an agreement declaring their belief in the basic biblical teachings historically defended by the Anglican Church. Now, this makes for very interesting reading in the light of research which shows that churches that hold fast to traditional biblical teaching are the ones that are growing, whereas churches that move in a more liberal direction are in terminal decline. For instance, in the United States, back in 1960, denominations such as the Anglicans, called Episcopalians there, Presbyterians, Methodists and Lutherans made up 40% of North American Protestants, whereas today they account for a mere 12%. And in general, churches which stick to traditional teaching, offer transcendent truth, the absolute truth of Scripture, and demand a high level of commitment from their members, enjoy good growth. And in America, people are voting with their feet and leaving liberal churches for conservative ones in droves. They're heading for churches which preach clear morals and hold sound doctrine. For instance, a well-established grouping such as the Southern Baptists are growing by 5%, the Assemblies of God by 18.5%, and the Church of God by 40%. This in a nation where both of the conflictive issues being faced by the Anglican Communion have come together recently. Episcopalians in San Francisco rejected a homosexual for the position of bishop in their city and instead elected a suffragan bishop. However, controversy surfaced with the appointment of Jeff Shorey, Bishop of Nevada, another part of the United States, as their leader. It's the first time a woman has been appointed to lead a national church in the Anglican Communion. Not only that, but Shorey had supported the appointment of a practicing homosexual, Gene Robinson, to the post of bishop in another part of the USA in 2003. And on hearing the news of her appointment, a leading cleric in the Church of England, the Bishop of Rochester, Michael Nazir Ali, said the divisions between conservatives and liberals were so great that compromise was impossible. And of course, Anglican bishops in Nigeria have said much the same thing. Well, Many evangelicals would want to distinguish between the two issues of women bishops and homosexual clergy. The one, they would argue, is a theological issue at best, whereas the other has clearly ethical and moral overtones as well. And yet, beyond and above these two particular issues, it's surely of more than passing interest that churches that stick to traditional Bible teaching are the ones that are growing. It's a great encouragement for evangelicalism. Evangelicals number, according to the World Evangelical Alliance, about 420 million around the world. And in many parts of the world, it's a growing movement. And even in Western Europe, and perhaps particularly in the West, in Western Europe, in the States, in Australia and New Zealand, where the member churches of the Anglican Communion, or at least some of them, are heading in a liberal direction. It's particularly of concern and of encouragement to evangelicals to stand fast to the teachings of Scripture and to believe that God will give growth to churches which are faithful, whereas churches that move in a liberal direction reject biblical doctrine, whether that be at an ethical, at a moral, of course always there is a theological level involved too, or whether it's exclusively at the theological level, decline seems to be the order of the day. Well, thank you for listening again to Letter from England, broadcasting each week at emission.net. Goodbye for now.
Emisión.net